James's small farm had once been the place where his love for Diep was tested by class prejudice and her painful past. After enduring countless trials, Diep chose to leave to protect James, and he in turn fought desperately to find her again. Then, unexpectedly, James's father, Mr. Tung, agreed to accept their relationship. But could such a drastic change of heart really be so simple? Memories of Pao's cruelty still haunted Diep, while Lin's compassion and James's unwavering love remained her only guiding light. Chapter 28 reveals whether true happiness is finally within reach, or whether this is just the beginning of another set of trials. Early in the morning, at the small wooden cabin where Diep had taken refuge a few miles from James's farm, the icy December air seeped through the cracks in the decaying wooden walls. Each gust of wind sliced through the air like invisible blades. Fog from the surrounding fields poured in through the gaps, coating the house in a ghostly white mist, dulling even the faint glow of dawn trying to break through the thick grey clouds. The temperature was barely above 37 degrees Fahrenheit. The bitter cold pierced through the thin, patched jacket Diep wore. The wind stabbed her skin through the tiny holes in the fabric, worn from years of use under sun and rain, making her shiver. Her cracked hands trembled as she huddled beside a battered wooden table, the deep cracks in the wood mirroring the lines of a life filled with sorrow. The dim flame of an old oil lamp cast flickering light across her gaunt face. It danced weakly, threatening to go out, throwing ghostly shadows onto the wall behind her. Her red, swollen eyes glistened with the pain and regret of a sleepless night. Dried tears streaked her cheeks like carved scars of despair. The cramped cabin smelled of damp earth and decaying wood. Mold crawled along the peeling walls. Cold air seeped from the dirt floor beneath her feet and mingled with the faint smoke from the lamp, choking the space with an oppressive heaviness. Yet, Diep didn't care. She hugged herself tightly, clinging to what little warmth remained. Her thoughts were consumed by James, the man she'd left to protect from his father's wrath. Mr. Tung had looked at her with disdain, his eyes cold and judging, as if she had no right to exist. The dried tears on her cheeks were like invisible wounds carved by a broken heart. Her soul ached from the decision to leave James, though she kept telling herself it was the right choice. Her inner voice was faint but firm. I don't want him to suffer because of me. I don't want him to have to choose between me and his family. I don't want him to be rejected by his father because of someone like me, poor, abandoned, and unworthy. Memories struck her like icy winds tearing through her mind. Bao, her cruel ex-husband, had tormented her for 5 years. Drunk and snarling, he had spat words of contempt. You're only good for labor. Why even learn to read? He ripped apart the old notebook she had salvaged from a roadside trash pile. Pages fluttered like her crushed dignity. His punches had landed like a relentless storm. She would curl up in the corner of their dark hut, blood dripping from her mouth and mixing with the rain that leaked through the torn roof. Her mother-in-law, Mrs. May, had cut into what little hope remained with razor-sharp words. You're useless. Can't have kids? Get out. We're not feeding trash like you. Dia clenched her hands tighter, her knuckles pale from the cold and pain. More tears rolled down her cheeks and soaked into the old wooden table, darkening the cracks with sorrow. Her heart was torn open as she whispered silently, I'm not worthy of James. I don't deserve his love. But why does leaving him hurt this much? Like I've lost the entire world he built for me. She bowed her head, her thin shoulders trembling in the cold. Her blurred vision stared at the dim, flickering oil lamp, its light wavering between brightness and shadow, just like her hope. A few miles away, at his small rented house in Tanmin village, James had also woken early. Pale morning light filtered through the gaps in the wooden window shutters, slicing through the thick fog outside and casting soft beams across his face. His bright eyes now drooped with worry and heartbreak. Dai had left without a word. He couldn't understand why. The emptiness she left behind swallowed him whole, like an endless void devouring every moment of happiness they had shared. The humble house, with its cracked clay walls and green moss clinging to the corners, told the story of many seasons past. Each fracture in the wall echoed the ones in his heart. The smell of damp soil wafted in from the fields, mixing with the dry wood scent of the thatched roof, now aged into a silver-grey hue. Once it had comforted him when Diep was there. Now the air was cold and lifeless. Even the small fireplace crackling in the corner with flames flickering red and weak couldn't warm the space. It only emphasized how alone he was. The home that had once rung with laughter was now painfully silent. James wore a thick grey coat, stained with dust from the farm. Red dirt had hardened into the fabric like memories of the days he and Diep spent together, planting, weeding, laughing beneath the sun or in the pouring rain. His old leather shoes by the door still bore dried mud from the day before, the day he came home hoping to see her at the wooden table, reading the old book he had given her under the oil lamp's glow, but all he found was silence. He stepped into the yard, his heavy boots crunching on the cold, damp ground. Frost clung to the dirt. He stared toward the empty farm, his breath puffed into the air in white clouds, twisting and disappearing like the thoughts spinning through his mind. Where is she? Why did she leave without saying anything? Is she safe out there in this cold? His heart raced as he remembered her small hands, cracked and weathered, the ones he used to warm in his. Her pale, slender face, often flushed from the cold but always shining with strength. Her delicate smile, so rare yet so precious, it melted his heart every time. I have to find her. I can't lose her. I won't leave her alone like she was back in that cruel past. He promised himself, his inner voice trembling but unwavering, like a vow carried on the winter wind. Diep is my light. She's why I came back here. I won't let her go. I won't let her think she's not worthy of love. He went back inside, walked toward the wooden table covered in crumpled plans and scattered numbers, ideas he and Diep had dreamed up during long nights together by lamplight. But he couldn't think straight. His hands trembled as he touched the chair where she once sat. His heart steeled with resolve. He would find Diep, no matter what, and bring her home. He would tell her she meant everything to him, even if the whole world stood in their way. At a luxury hotel in downtown Tan Minh, Mr. Tung sat alone in a grand room. A crystal chandelier sparkled from the high ceiling, casting golden light across his worn, weathered face. Deep lines etched into his skin were like battle scars from years of rising out of poverty, building a fortune and a reputation brick by brick. The walls were pristine white, the marble floor gleaming beneath the glow, and the ebony furniture, carved with fine detail, stood as symbols of power and discipline. But the air inside was as cold as the winter outside. Only the faint crackle of the fireplace in the corner broke the silence. Mr. Tung sat on a velvet chair, hands resting on polished wooden armrests. His sharp eyes stared through the mist-covered window. He spoke coldly to his assistant, a middle-aged man in a black suit standing beside him, notebook in hand. His voice was flat, unyielding, an order more than a statement. James is not to see that girl again. I made myself clear. She's not worthy. I won't let him throw away his future over some poor girl. I've worked too hard to get him where he is. The heavy wooden door opened with a sharp click. James entered, eyes blazing with fury and sorrow. His fists clenched so tightly the knuckles turned white. He stared straight at his father. "What did you say to Diep?" he shouted. "What did you do to make her leave me?" Mr. Tung looked up. His gaze met his son's with a steel-cold glare. "I told her to go. She's not worthy of you. She's poor, uneducated, divorced. Do you really think someone like her can stand beside you, help you with the career I've built for you?" James's voice cracked the silence like thunder. "You don't get to control my life. I love Diep. She's everything to me. You don't know what she's been through. You don't see her heart. All you care about is money and reputation. But that's not what I live for." Mr. Tung stood, his towering presence shrinking the room. He crossed his arms behind his back, his voice low and sharp as a blade. "You need someone capable, educated, someone who can help build your future, not a poor girl with baggage. If you choose her, don't call me your father. I will not accept this foolish relationship. I won't let you destroy everything I've built for a girl like that." James's fists clenched until his joints cracked. His voice shook with fury and pain. "I don't need anyone else. I will find her, no matter what you say. Even if you disown me, I won't give her up." He turned and walked out, each step echoing defiantly across the marble floor. Every footfall shattered the wall between him and Diep like a hammer, his heart aching as he imagined her somewhere out there, alone and hurting from his father's cruel words. He jumped into his truck, slamming the door shut, his hands shaking as he started the engine. His heart burned with determination. He sped down the bumpy red dirt road toward Tuan's house, hoping, praying she was still there. Back at the wooden cabin, Diep sat curled up on the old wooden chair. Her face was wet with tears, her eyes glowing red with grief. Tuan stood nearby, his voice low in the cramped room. "James is looking for you," he said. "He's hurting." He sounded like he was about to cry when he called. Diep broke down, tears soaking into her thin shirt. I didn't want him to suffer. I left so he could be at peace. But why does it hurt so much? Tuan sat across from her. The oil lamp lit his face with soft light. I told him you were here. He's on his way. He doesn't care what his father said. Di panicked, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Can he really come here after all the hate his father has for me? But her heart stirred with memories of James. His warmth on cold days, his patience teaching her to read, his gentle voice saying, "You can do it." Tuan stood, patted her shoulder. "I'll give you some space. Think carefully." He walked out, leaving Diep alone with the weight of her decision. Should I go back? Am I even worthy of him? James's truck skidded to a stop in front of the cabin, red dust billowing in the air. He rushed inside and found Diep huddled by the table, her face soaked in tears. He ran to her, voice trembling with fear and heartache. "Diep, why did you leave without saying anything? I've searched everywhere. I thought I'd lost you." She cried harder, tears falling to the cold floor. "Your father doesn't accept me. I didn't want you to suffer. I didn't want you to lose your family." James dropped to his knees and wrapped her in his arms, his warmth surrounding her. "I don't care what my father thinks. I just need you. Please don't leave me again. We'll get through everything. I promise." Diep clung to him, heart whispering weakly. Can our love survive? Am I brave enough to stay? At the hotel, Mr. Tung sat quietly, the chandelier light dancing on his weathered face. His assistant entered. James found her, through Tuan. Mr. Tung fell silent, a flicker of guilt crossing his face as he remembered his own mother, who died in poverty, begging him for help when he had none to give. He picked up his phone and called James. His voice was low, softer than before. "Son, I agree, but I will test her. If she passes, I'll accept her." James, holding Diep close, nodded firmly. "I'll protect her. Thank you, Dad." Mr. Tung hung up and stared out the foggy window, sighing deeply. Can it really be that easy? Can my heart truly accept this? Diep now faces Mr. Tung's test, $20,000. Will their love survive? Find out in chapter 30.
Tại những ngày còn bé khi cô Hương từng chia sẻ những miếng bánh mì khô dưới mái hiên nhà bác Kiên. Dạo này bạn có khỏe không? Hương hỏi tiếp. Ánh mắt ánh lên sự quan tâm chân thành. Ngồi xuống bên Hương, đôi tay đan vào nhau như tìm kiếm sự an ủi. Tôi vẫn ổn. Cô đáp nhưng giọng nói không giấu đi được chút run rẩy. Hương nhìn cô, lòng chợt thất lại khi muốn nhận ra nỗi buồn ẩn sâu trong đôi mắt bạn mình. Câu ấy vẫn mang vẻ cô đơn như ngày xưa. Mình như muốn truyền chút sức mạnh cho Diệp. Chồng bạn đâu rồi? Sao lại làm một mình? Diệp hỏi. Cố chuyển hướng câu chuyện như Hương tự dài ánh mắt buồn. Chúng tôi vừa qua đời được 3 tháng. Diệp sững sờ lòng trào lên sự đồng cảm sâu sắc. Tôi xin lỗi. Cô thì thầm. Như nỗi đau của Hương đang hòa vào nỗi đau của chính mình. Hương mỉm cười buồn xua tay. Không sao đâu. Còn bạn thì sao? Diệp cúi đầu giọng nhỏ dần. Tôi đã ly hôn rồi. Giờ tôi ở tạm trang trại của một người bạn. Hương gật đầu, ánh mắt sáng lên. Nhưng nghe đến từ bạn, nghe nói người đó là chủ tịch rất giàu đúng không? Cô hỏi, giọng tò mò. Diệp gật đầu, làm chợt nặng trĩu nghĩ đến Giang. Là anh ấy rất tốt, nhưng tôi chỉ là người phụ nữ đã ly hôn. Tôi không xứng đáng với anh ấy nên đã từ chối tình cảm của anh ấy. Cô thú nhận, giọng run rẩy như sắp khóc. Hương nhìn Diệp, đau lòng nhói trước sự tự ti của bạn mình. Cô ấy xứng đáng được yêu thương hơn bất kỳ ai. Sao cô ấy lại tự giao mình trong nỗi đau như vậy? Hương nghĩ, tay nắm chặt lấy tay Diệp. Rồi tôi đồng cảm với bạn, nói đôi giọng điệu dịu dàng nhưng kiên định. Giang là người tốt, anh ấy giàu có và quan tâm bạn. Tại sao bạn phải từ chối? Chúng ta chỉ sống một lần, hãy nghe theo trái tim mình. Đừng để lời bàn tán làm ảnh hưởng. Diệp ngẩng lên, đôi mắt long lanh. Trong khi đó, tại một trang trại kết đất không xa, Giang đang bận rộn kiểm tra việc thu hoạch của củ rong cùng Bin, người bạn kinh doanh lâu năm. Anh đứng giữa cánh đồng, dáng người cao lớn, nổi bật với bộ vest giản dị, ánh mắt sắc bén quan sát từng đường tấc của công nhân. Những chiếc xe chở cũ răng lăn qua đường phố đất đỏ, để lại những vết bánh sau hầm. Trong tiếng cười nói của công nhân vang vọng giữa không gian rộng, nhưng trong lòng nhân là nỗi buồn âm ỉ không nguôi. Kể từ ngày Diệp từ chối tình cảm của anh, cô ấy nghĩ mình không xứng đáng, nhưng với mình cô ấy là tất cả. Anh nghĩ tay vô thức siết chặt